what's up? I'm Sophia Macreades.
And I'm Christina Diaz, and you're watching our second episode of No Scripts, No Rules. And we're going to be talking about our trip to Cuba. So,
yes, we are.
Let the games begin.
I feel like this is something we both kind of put off because it's like really hard to put in words exactly like what happened in Cuba.
Yeah, I don't even know like where to begin because we were just doing so much that like I wasn't reflecting like at all.
Right. Okay. So, well, let's just give them like the synopsis of like what was going on.
Okay.
So, basically, we're all broadcast journalism students at UCF, and our professors came to us and told us about this trip idea to study abroad in Cuba, and so 9 of us were selected to go, and like we had to apply, like we had to write essays, like it was like
there was an application because they got a grant.
Yeah.
So there was a grant, and we applied to go on this trip using the grant. And eventually down the line there was some time of like things going on, and then things going on politically when we were like, oh, what are we gonna do? And then we finally like got the group together. It was a class for the summer. So we did 2 weeks like in the United States at school, and then 2 weeks over there, and then 2 weeks of editing, which turned into more than 2 weeks of editing.
Much more than 2 weeks of editing. So 9 kids, well, not kids, but 9 students.
6 cameras.
6 cameras. How many? What? We had 3 iPads.
Yeah, we had and 3 cameras.
And 3 cameras. And basically how the documentaries are set up, there's an English one and a Spanish one, and it's called Cuba Art and Soul. And so we split the class into 4 hosts. It was like 4 English hosts, 4 Spanish hosts, and then another student that was with us, she was like more production based. Yeah. So she was like helping a lot with like filming and like behind the scenes stuff.
We did like promos. We had like a little viewing party at our school afterwards where we kind of talked about our experience, but like you could tell we were all like,
I've never been so drained in my entire life, but we'll get into that.
Will we?
I'm shook. Like it's hard to talk about.
Do we like start like day one, like we got there, or like we packed up our like medicine?
Yeah, I feel like we should talk about. So like before the trip, they were warning us so much about like how much stuff and like medicine we should bring, and like just like being overly prepared. And we all, for the most part, we all took it pretty seriously. Like, I was packing. Like, I was kind of like...
I brought a pharmacy with me.
I definitely was prepared. But, like, I feel like we were all, like, really naive, too, going into it. Like, I remember showing up to the airport and just being like, like, we're doing this. Like, I was, like, excited. Like, we're all, like, everyone who went was, like, really good friends. Like, we still are. And
we have a capstone class, and that's where we do, like, our, like, production stuff, and we were like kind of act as MMJs and producers and stuff. So a bunch of us were in that class together, and you kind of get close in that class because you have to. You see each other every day. Like you're hustling. Like, hey, can you carry my camera while I do this? Like I'm going 45 minutes away. Like
So like we had just spent a semester like working like a lot on producing like really good newscasts and stuff like that. So it was like it didn't seem as like daunting, I guess, at least for me. Like I was like, oh, like I know everyone, like we're gonna kill it, this is gonna be so good, like it's gonna be the best.
And like some people were like nervous. There was people who'd never been out of the United States, and I felt like I was like, I'm fine, like I've been out, like I don't care, like I know what I'm getting into. And I think they overly prepared us.
Oh yeah.
Like I was expecting to like be sleeping in a sleeping bag outside on like broken streets.
Yeah.
But like I was pleasantly surprised when we got there. That was like totally not the case at all.
Yeah. So I feel like you get the point, but we should like talk about, I guess, day 1.
Like getting to the airport, like
I
can't even remember what happened.
So the first couple of nights we were in Havana, and then most of our trip was in a town called Cienfuegos. And it's like, Cienfuegos is like a college town, whatever, we'll get into that. But Havana, so first night, wow.
We stayed with Tito.
Yeah, we were separated into different houses. So when you're staying in Cuba, like, and you're a U.S. citizen, you can't stay in hotels, right? You have to stay.
No. I think you can't. There's like different rules depending on where, but because we were students, we had to follow like strict rules, and we needed to stay at like small businesses. So it was like
Yeah.
casas. So it was these people's houses. It was like essentially an Airbnb.
Yeah.
That's what it really was.
Yeah.
And these people, they're so like entrepreneurial that like they'll like they have these businesses where they'll like feed you in the morning. So we had breakfast there, and like they'll do your laundry for like a couple whatever, like a quarter for a shirt or whatever. So they have these businesses within businesses.
Yeah.
Just to kind of like get as much money as they can, and I think like money from tourists is like one of the biggest ways to get money, because even like we tipped our like hosts and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So
and I would leave like medicine and stuff, but basically we get to these houses, and there was 6 of us in one house, and like our professors were separated in different houses, like right along the same street though. But like the first night, we were ready to roll. Like that's when we went to the bars. Like we were like, yeah, like we're on vacation. Like this is great. Like there's that's when we were on the Malecon. Like we were like walking, we were all dancing. We were out till like
we went out.
Like we were out, and it was so much fun. That was one of my favorite nights, because we were all just having like a really good time. We were dancing. It was like, wow, like we're in Cuba. Like that's how I felt. I was like, I cannot believe I'm here.
And we were with people that are Cuban and like have like lived there and things like that. So we were with people that knew the area well enough where it's like, oh, I'm comfortable. Like, oh, I've been here all the time.
We
like,
all just like let our hair down. Like, and but like, what? Like, I couldn't imagine doing that like later in the trip. But it was like, I guess it was necessary. Like, it was good for us to have that night. And then the next day we went straight into shooting, because we had a block in Havana. So we were going to a bunch of different sites that were already planned to film. And
that was wild. I'm going to just say, that was like, nobody really knew what to do. There were 6 cameras. Just kind of like we made a schedule, and it was like very organized, and we thought it was gonna work, but like clearly it didn't. There was like groups of 3. There would be a promo group, an English group, and a Spanish group, and that's how we were set up. Each team would have a camera, but it didn't really like work out like that. And I'm not even like looking back on it, like not even sure why. Maybe people were just overwhelmed. Like, what were we doing?
Yeah, I feel like it's like that kind of situations is like really hard to plan, because it's like once we were thrown into it, like it's not that we didn't consider things like but things like language barriers. Like it would be like, say it was my story or Christina's story, like, and we have to interview someone, and then we're like, oh, fresh, like no one on our team knows Spanish. We'd have to like run and get another student who knows Spanish. Like it was kind of like hectic, especially in Havana, because before we like traveled to Cienfuegos, in Cienfuegos we had the help of some students who went to the university there, and they knew English and Spanish, so they helped us a lot. But so it was kind of just like all over the place, and I feel like we were all just like, what is going on? Like this is like, it was a lot.
But I also feel like the people that we were like filming didn't know we were going to show up with cameras.
Yeah, that too.
It was kind of awkward. We were like, hello, and I like didn't have the vocabulary in Spanish to like, no, it's okay, you know, like this is what we want to do, and like everybody was just kind of like, like what are we doing? And like that's so like, overwhelming to the people that we are like interviewing, and that's kind of like
we're like aliens.
Like
hey, like
just let's start with hey, how are you?
Yeah, like, it was a lot. And we also, Havana is not what I thought it was. Like it's sad. Like
I think it's like exactly like what you see in movies though. Like there's like this beautiful building over here. It's awesome, amazing. And you like turn your head a little, and like there's like a huge like hole in the ground.
Yeah, massive.
A building had just fallen like last week. Like,
and everyone's just walking around it. Like it's no big deal. Like we got the chance to. Our professors knew some people who lived there, and we got the chance in Cuba to go inside her house, and that was like one of the first things that really shook me, because we walk up these like really narrow, steep stairs. We crossed this like really like the floor was about to break from under us, and there was like a bunch of us going up there, and we get in this room which is not even the size of my bedroom, and it was their whole house. Like,
Well, so the house we went to, there was like that front room. There was a bunch of us walking into these people's houses, and like, first of all, they were like, "Oh my God, come back anytime.
Yeah.
How are you? It's so nice to see you." And I think that was like, I was like, wow, like family. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I've been here before. But like, the first room, it was a mansion. So the house
not
was
that one. Annabelle's house.
Oh, did we do that first?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so there was like kids on the street.
Yeah.
We met a bunch of kids on the street. Huh, that's a different thing. We met a bunch of kids. We went up these like narrow stairs. I remember there was like wires hanging.
Yeah, it was weird.
In between buildings, there's like spaces for like outdoor sections, and that's where like people dry their clothes and things like that. So it was like two walls, like probably this close. Like I was like walking, and then to the left of me was like clotheslines, and that's where the clothes were there to dry. I remember that.
And it was scary too, because like they were warning us before, because it had just been raining a lot in Cuba, and like so the buildings, obviously like the foundation's weak, and so they were nervous about us even going up in the building. Like I was scared, but like it ended up being like a really nice thing. Like we got to give, our professors brought a bunch of toys and stuff, and she got to give them to the woman's kids and like the other kids who lived there. Like it was like a really sweet moment, and like it was like emotional for all of us, because like it was like what they were getting, like Legos, and the kids were like, oh my God, like,
yeah. And I like couldn't even understand the whole conversation, and I'm sitting there like, wow. And like our professor has a son that's like a similar age of one of the kids there, and they're kind of like pen pals is what I like got from the situation. And like she took a video of him like saying thank you to him, and like maybe one day they'll meet, and like they talked about going to Disney World and stuff. That was like what, like they were like, oh my God, maybe one day I'll go to Disney World, and they had like a little Minnie Mouse like figure thing.
Oh,
and,
I wish you could like share the energy like of
Yeah.
that room, because it was like after like they gave the gifts or whatever, like someone started playing music, and in this small room there was like 15, 20 people, and everyone's dancing. Like it was just like crazy. Like they were so grateful and like so nice
positive.
and positive, but to us we're like, you live here, like this is like what, like what do you mean, like what is there to do? Like they had a radio, that's it. And that's just like insane to me. And
but
then,
they were happy.
Yeah.
And I think like they're like, everybody we met there is like one of the happiest people ever. And even like Annabelle was like one of the greatest people we met there.
Oh, totally.
Like
just like genuine, like you know when you meet someone and you're like, yep, like they're it, like they're like heaven sent, like I don't know, like, but that's how I felt about a lot of people there. I'm just like, it's just so different, like they're just so genuine, and like everyone's family. And I feel like a lot of it is because like we get lost up in a lot of stuff here, and like for them they're just like trying to support each other and like always like helping each other, giving, I don't know, giving other things to other people, and like they're just, I don't know, it's a totally different culture. And I feel like we've both been traveling our whole lives. Like I've seen poor, I've seen things that I didn't like, you know, like expect, but like this was like totally different because we were able to connect more. It wasn't like you were driving through like a really poor country or like whatever, walking around. Like we got to like know these people.
And like I think like a great moment of the trip was like walking into our first casa and like Tito's house, and like I like don't speak Spanish, but I can like get by, and like him being so open to listen to my broken Spanish, and like we got each other, you know? Like we were communicating, like, and it was really cool. Like he was like so positive, and I was like like trying to communicate, but it was like I got that experience because I was like living the life there, and I was like I was in it. I was like in it.
In it.
In it.
Yeah.
Like, really in it.
I don't know. Oh, God.
For 10 days, we were, like, there.
And let's talk about another thing in Havana. I guess we don't have to go day by day.
Yeah.
Because we could
Hours.
Yeah. But, like, another thing that happened in Havana that really affected, and it's funny because it affected me and Christina.
Like, a lot.
Do you want to tell the story?
It was the story I was just telling.
Yeah.
So, our professor has family there, and we were going to visit, I don't know, it was like a cousin's aunt, like a family, a relative.
It was like her uncle's grandmother.
Who raised him in Cuba. So he's living in the United States now, and she raised him when he was living in Cuba. And so he sent, like, money and slippers and a note. Yeah. And Sophia and I walked in. This is the mansion. So, like, we walked in. It was, like, you could tell it was, like, used to be so beautiful.
Yeah, it probably was amazing in its prime.
But it was falling apart. Cracked. I wouldn't have been surprised if, like, the ceiling just fell in on us.
Totally.
Like,
there was a couch in this front room where we'll tell the story, that had springs coming up of it. Like, it was just like, what? Like, walking into it, and it was just, I think it was her, this woman in a wheelchair, and then, like, a couple other family members.
Like a dad, a mom, a little girl that we gave, like, chocolate to.
That lived there, and how the houses are set up, or I feel like a lot of them are like this, because, like, the bee story and stuff, they're like, you walk through the house, so it's like there's the front room, then you walk through 3 bedrooms, then you get to the kitchen, then you get to, so that's how the house was set up, just for that.
So what had happened is we were all standing in the front room, and our professor was giving this woman in a wheelchair money, new slippers. Her slippers were, like, just beaten up. They've been used to, like, no end. So, like, that was, like, a lot to see. And a letter written from her family member who was raised by this woman when he lived in Cuba, and he now lives in the United States. And so Sophia and I think we're, like, the most emotional at this point.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm not
You're
like
not
that.
emotional, I am.
Yeah.
But basically, our professor started reading the letter in Spanish. We don't understand anything. And mind you, half of us don't either, like, that were in our class with us. And it was just, like, walking into that environment, like, before anything ever started, it was just, like, you were, like, ooh, like, they, like, hit you, like, there was a bird in a cage, like, it was, like...
It was really, like, the energy of the second you walked into the house, I was like...
Yeah, and it wasn't, like, a bad energy, it was just, like, intense, like, I guess that's the best way I can describe it. And so when she started reading the letter, like, I immediately, like, I just felt, like, the emotions in the room, like, from this woman, and then from everyone, like, and so I started crying just because it was so intense. Like, you're giving someone who has nothing something, and it's like, it's just, like, really weird to, like, be there and to see that. And, like, at one point, like,
it was just like, I looked up at Sophia, lost it. Like, we had to walk into another room, and I was like, okay, like, save it for later, we're good, or fuck later, let's just keep it going, Christina. Like, I was trying. I put on my sunglasses. I was like, we're good here.
I was not good. It was a lot, but it was a lot for all of us. Like, we weren't the only, everyone was crying as far as I'm concerned. Like, no one was good, and, like, our teacher even was like, I can't do this, like, I can't read this, like, it's, like, too much, like, and it was a lot.
But it was, like, amazing. Like, the energy was good because the people there were like, oh my god, welcome to our home. And how weird is it that we walked through their home and we're just, like... Just
looking at their stuff. Like, that's so
the
strange.
Stuff that they had, which is, like, not a lot. You know what I mean?
Remember one of the beds in that home was, like, on cinder blocks.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, like... I don't know, I guess, like, being there was a totally different experience, and I didn't expect going into this to be so emotional, but, like, it really makes you check yourself and realize how grateful I am, and we all are. We're blessed, like, so much, and it's like it changed me because I feel like not that I took everything for granted, because I don't. Like, I think I pride myself in being, like, thankful, but, like, really it was just like, oh my God, like, they have nothing.
And I feel like we had, like, a lot of those experiences where people welcomed us and were so open, and even, like, I went to, like, the regla with, like, my professor when, like, other people went other places, and I, like, got to see where these people lived. There was, like, a couple houses. They were all in the same block. They own, like, they had, like, what used to be their own business, which is now what gives Cubans their rations of food. And I got to go in the back, and, like, there was a story, they used to have a pig, but they sold it for something else. And, like, we got to see all those things, and, like, I think that, like, is what makes it important. But also I think we should talk about, like, what else we did. Like, we were there working. Like, totally. We were busy every day.
From, like, we were up, like, if we weren't up by 7, we were up by 7:30. Like, we were up, showering, getting our clothes on, like, run down, to say the least. And this was, like, day 3 in Havana. Like, we were already, like, not good.
We were ready to, like, take the bus ride to Cienfuegos, and everybody's, like, already passed out on the bus. Like,
we should talk about
throwing up.
Like, the food. Let's talk about it. In our hosts, like, homes, amazing. Like, the food was so good. But anytime we ate somewhere, like, I want to transition to Cienfuegos. Like, the first meal we had in Cienfuegos, I don't know if you recall, but I do.
I literally don't have any clue where we went.
We had just met with the students. The students. We had been working on it, and, like, our bodies are still getting adjusted. Like, can't drink the water there. Me, dumb, I constantly would, like, brush my teeth with it, and then, like, my roommate would be like, what are you doing? Like, Alex would be like, stop! Like, stop doing that! And I'm like, oh! Like, and then we'd all be like, like, running to the bathroom. Like, it was not good. And, no, you know what I'm saying. It was
juicy.
Nasty. It got nasty.
But it was nice. Like, I don't want to emphasize that because, like, we had AC.
Yeah, no, it was so nice.
We had people cooking us food.
Yeah.
But, like, also, like, it was hot
not what we were
and
used to.
Diarrhea happened.
Yeah, but the first day in Cienfuegos, we get to this restaurant. There's a bunch of students. I'm tired. I'm bus sick. Like, I'm just, like, not.
Oh yeah, because you.
Yeah, it was not my thing. Riding in cars is just no from me. But it's like, I feel like bad saying this, but, like, there's, like, a lack of seasoning there, so it's like, you know, like, I remember the soup I had was, like, water. No. I got chicken, but then me and Dana switched, and I ate her vegetable soup, and it was, like, the craziest thing I've ever eaten in my life. Like,
yeah. But also, like, I don't like rice and beans, and, like, the food at our homes were so good. I was like, oh, give it all to me. Like, I don't eat mangoes here. Mango juice.
Oh, man, mango juice.
Myra's mango juice.
Crazy. But I remember in that luncheon, we were at this, like, really long table. We took up the whole restaurant, our whole class, plus the Cuban students that went to the Cienfuegos, it's the University of Cienfuegos, that lunch. I looked over at Khalil, who was, like, all the way down this long table from me, and homeboy is just sweating, shades on, and he's, like, trying to, like, communicate to these people. He's, like, nodding at them, and I'm just, like, watching his, like, mannerisms. Like, he's holding on for dear life to not, I don't know, poop himself or, like, throw up, or I don't know what was going on, but I was in the corner crying, laughing, and I kept trying to get his attention to be like, are you good? Like, are you good? But he was just, like, it looked like a zombie. Like, it was so funny to me, and it was, like, it hurt my heart at the same time, because he was trying to talk to people and, like, just deal with it. And like that was like part of the trip too. Like we had to just deal with it. Like you have to keep it moving. And that's when we were first starting to learn that it's like, oh, we're in it. Like we got to just move on. Like if you're sick, that's fresh, but get over it. Like we're moving on. And we got stuff to shoot. We got people to talk to, people to meet. And so that was like definitely like a different experience. And I was sick the whole trip. We all were, pretty much.
But I like toughed it up.
Oh, yeah.
I was like the only person that just shoved an Imodium down and said, this lady has things to do. Let's get to it. Yeah. Everybody else was like, I'm just going to take the day off and poop myself all day. And I was like, nope, can't do that. And like there was a time where like literally there was 9 of us. Like 6 people were trying to use the bathroom. It was hot. Man. We had taken a ferry to like this fort, and there was like us trying to film. Me sweating, Alex sweating. We're like holding our cameras, trying not to pass out. And at the end of it, we got the interview. We got our B-roll, and I was like, and there's a place to get like a Coke, and I was like, I don't care where anybody else is going, and I was just like, I'm gonna go this way and get this because I'm gonna die.
I completely checked out when we were at the fort. I was no help really. I mean, I was trying, but there were some times like where we did have to pick up each other's slack because we were sick. Like some of us got really sick, like, and it would pass. And like I said, like you just couldn't do anything about it. Like you were like, okay, like I'm gonna be sick for this hour, and then I've got to get it together. Like you would drink your Pedialyte, you would do whatever you had to do to feel better, like essentially. And it was like hard to do that sometimes when you're like, because it's overwhelming. You're in this situation where you're like, it felt like everywhere we went, we didn't know what we were walking into.
And they didn't know that we were coming.
Yeah, they knew, but like
they weren't expecting
when 12, 15 people plus however many students show up to a place with 6 cameras that they've never seen before. And we're like, "Oh, can we interview you?" They're just like, "What?" Like,
I'm like sweating.
But they're like, "Yes, of course." Like they were sweet, but it was also like overwhelming sometimes for everyone involved.
And like I think that like,
but that's showbiz.
One of the stories I did, the bee story.
Yeah.
I got there and I don't speak Spanish, and I'm trying to like get to know these people that we're gonna interview, put them together, tell them what we're gonna do. And I just remember that woman looking at me and saying, like, this is so overwhelming. Yeah. She was like, little girl, this is so overwhelming. My heart almost exploded.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, what can we do? Like, oh, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't have the vocabulary for this. Yeah. And, like, trying to translate. And then it was difficult because, like, I'd be, like, shooting a stand-up or shooting something. And other people, like, people would be talking to me in Spanish. Like, the people living in the house would be talking to me in Spanish. And then nobody would be translating. And I'm like, I don't know. So there's, like, shots of me being like,
yeah,
I don't know what you're saying. I'm trying, but, like, even, like, I have family that, like, speaks to me in Spanish, and I can, like, understand that, but, like, the accent's different. We're in a different, world. We have, like, slang that they were using, and, like, it was, like, I was, like, I'm trying to be here on camera doing this, but I also want to make sure you're comfortable, but I also can't speak to you.
I feel like that's a good transition to, like, our Cuban moms. Like,
yeah.
And so there was 4 of us that got to stay in Cienfuegos. Like, we went to, obviously, other host houses, and we were all split up along the Prado, right? It's basically.
Yeah, basically.
The Prado's a long walkway.
In the middle of Cienfuegos that has Wi-Fi.
Yeah. And, like, at night, it's popping. Like, there were people that, I don't know, I remember that someone rolled by with this suitcase that was a speaker. They were playing Little Pump, and so I was freaking out. But, like, that's how it was. It was just, like, lively. Everyone's on their phones. You would buy Wi-Fi cards, and you could plug in
Mhm.
for,
I
however
hope it
many
worked.
hours. Yeah, hope it worked. Call, whatever.
Sorry if it doesn't.
Yeah. That's another thing. We didn't have phones or, like, that's not a thing. Like, we had Wi-Fi for, like, maybe, like, 30 minutes every, like, we didn't have it in Havana.
When shit was hitting the fan, like,
yeah,
the Wi-Fi wasn't working either, too.
Yeah,
Like,
so,
I'm
like,
not, like, calling my mom, like, I want to.
Yeah, the whole trip I probably talked to my parents, like, maybe, like,
Twice?
yeah, twice. Like, I would.
Oh, no.
I hope it's recording!
It is! Oh, the battery. Alrighty. So, a little technical difficulty.
Of course, you guys know the drill. We are getting better. We have some stuff coming in the mail tomorrow, so this isn't gonna happen.
Hopefully. Yeah. So we were talking about the Prado and the Wi-Fi, how they don't have Wi-Fi, and I know you wanted to get into talking about, like, our, like, hosts.
Yeah, basically. Just you go into it. I feel like you explain it good.
I, like, really liked living with these people.
Yeah.
I,
totally.
like, loved it. I loved them. I was really stressed all day trying to keep my cool, and we'd come home, and she'd be like, "Oh, hello, ladies."
That was our host's name. Her name was Mayra.
Yeah.
And
she had 2 sons.
Yeah.
She wanted daughters. There was 4 girls living in her house with her at the time. She made us bracelets, but when we left,
and
necklaces as well. And she was just, like, so cool.
And she wrote. So the first day she sat us down and, like, just basically gave us the rundown of, like, she's gonna make us breakfast, she's gonna make us dinner some nights, whatever. And I was, like, overwhelmed because she was speaking in Spanish all the time, and she was like, I'm only gonna speak to you in Spanish. Like, that's what she said.
Well, she
us.
didn't know English.
No, but she was like, I want you to learn. And I was like, okay. Like, and it was a lot because she would just be like, da 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 da. And, like, I'd be looking at her like, I'm sorry, what? But towards the end of it, I feel like you guys would be like, did you know what she said? I'm like, yeah. But I didn't know how to respond. But I was like, okay, like, got it. And I'm, like, honestly really glad that she did that. It was overwhelming at first because you're, like, looking at someone, like, dumbfounded, and then, like, you're just like, what? And, like, sometimes she would slow it down. I'm like, no, I still don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm so glad she did that because now, like, I can pick out words a lot easier. Like, someone can say something to me in Spanish, and, like, chances are high that I can figure out what they're saying, like, stuff like that. But she was the sweetest.
She was an angel.
Sweetest woman. She would wake us up every morning. You'd hear her. She'd walk up the stairs. The house is so cool, by the way. But so she'd walk up these stairs, and we were staying on the 2nd floor, and there was 2 patios on the 2nd floor, like, between our rooms.
A hammock, a swing, and then you could
swing,
walk up and go to, like, the terrace on the roof.
Like, it was so cool. Coolest house. We got the best house
by
far.
And, like, the best, like, cook and, like, the people that worked in the house.
They were amazing. And that was what we needed too. It was like it was supposed to happen for us because we would have these, like, long, crazy, stressful days, and then we would go home to Myra, and she was so welcoming. But my point was, she would wake us up in the morning, you'd hear her walking up the stairs, and she'd go, Kriti! Natalie! And then she'd walk across the patio to mine and Alex's room. She'd go, Sophie! Ale! Every morning without fail. Like, she was calling our names exactly like that. And so, like, by the end of it, like, I would always, if I needed to like, talk to Christina, I'd be like, Kriti! Like, I would, like,
we still do it.
I know,
like, sometimes I'd
do
be like, Sophie!
I just did it to you. When she walked up to my apartment, I'd say, Kriti! But I was also looking the wrong way.
Yeah.
Stupid. But she wrote letters to our parents about us individually, and, like, what she learned from us, and, like, stuff like that. Like, who does that? Like, that was so amazing. I still have my letter. Like, I don't know, like I feel like we impacted their lives, but like they don't understand how much more that they impacted our lives just by
Yeah.
being who they are. Like just by existing. Like
Mhm.
I don't even know how to explain it.
I want to talk about like the other people that worked there too, because like there was one.
Yadira.
Oh yeah. Well, but there was also like in Myra's
yeah.
house, there was like one of the people that cooked for us. He would like sit with us and like listen. We'd have like just talks around
Yeah.
the table. We'd end up being there for like hours. Like, and he like in the beginning was like, oh, I don't know English or whatever.
Mhm.
And you hear him like laughing at our conversations,
Yeah, he knew
and
what
we
we
were
were
like,
saying.
no, what's up? Like, and ended up getting him more comfortable speaking in English,
Yeah.
which was really cool. But it was also crazy. Like, he's a nurse by day and works at Myra's casa by like night.
These people grind. Like all of them know how to work, and I feel like that being around that too made our experience like not easier, but in the way that like everyone's working. Like there isn't like, oh well, I'm just gonna take the day off. Like because we were up, like I said, from that point on, we were up 7 a.m. and we had gotten, I don't know, if you were lucky if you got 5 hours of sleep, and we were grabbing equipment, trying to look decent because you're going to be on camera at some point, and like you're taking pills, whatever you need, Dayquil, I don't know, to get through the day.
Trying to drink enough water, but like there aren't enough water bottles.
Like,
but like
I've never been so run down in my entire life, but going home to an environment like that made it so much better, and I could not imagine not having that. And I feel like we everyone that we went with, even if they were in a different house, had that same sense of like you felt like family. Like you were, but not only at your home, like anywhere you went, you were family. Like they took you in and treated you like you were their own.
And people were so nice. Like, I'm friends with people on Facebook that I met there, and like they reach out to me. Like, we've talked. Like the other day we were talking about like shooting this episode, and I was like, oh my god, like so and so just like reached out to me, da 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 da, and that kind of thing. And like they want the best for you.
Yeah,
and
totally.
they want you to be better, but it's like also like, oh my god, like I want to be more like you.
Yeah,
like
totally.
wow, like you've like reached like that's goals, like to be able to like think like that and be like that and just like welcome someone. Like I feel like it takes me a while to warm up to people. Totally. I know that about myself. And it's like something I want to work on, especially like if I do want to be a journalist. Like that's like so important. But like these people, like instantly they were like, oh my god, like welcome to my home, like you're my family. She was like, I'm your Cuban mother now. Like
and like everyone was like that. Like I want to talk about Yadira, like how so every morning wake up, you'd have to go to the Prado, find the bus, like we'd be lugging camera equipment. We're all like like, but we had this tour guide with us the whole time, and she was the best.
Yeah.
Like the absolute, she's just pure. And that's how I feel like everyone is there. And we keep saying like the same things about everyone, but like I cannot stress it enough. Like I did not meet one person there that I was like, ugh, like I don't like them. Like they're mean or like they're whatever. Like that doesn't exist. And so like when you're in an environment like that, you're just like, what? Like how are you all like this? Especially like thinking about what we have and like where we came from, and like I can wake up and be in a bad mood for like whatever reason, and like something stupid happens with them, they're just like so, I don't know, it's just totally, they're grateful for everything.
Think,
and like,
I feel like they're positive. They don't think about what they don't have.
Yeah.
They're like just so grateful, like, well, you know, I have my like family here and I have this and I'm working a job. I'm so lucky to be doing this.
Yeah.
And like that's how everybody should be looking at life.
And they just like, I don't know, it's just like this different sense of community there through like, I feel that way like through everyone I met, like that how they treat each other, how they talk to each other, how they talk to us, how everything worked out. it was just like it was insane. And like I can't stress it enough, like how much we were put through. Like we were broken, like broken. I still like it's hard to talk about it, and I like hope we're getting this across like the best way. It's like think about like day in and day out, you've gotten no sleep, you're stressed, we're trying to shoot an entire documentary, two documentaries,
And none of us have ever shot a documentary.
none of us have ever shot a documentary where it's a million degrees outside. Like I'm talking about hot. Like we live in Florida, like we know hot, but like this was nothing. Like
Plans are changing. We don't have things. My block's supposed to be the environment. We have one story on the environment now. We were supposed to go to this place, waterfall. It was raining. There's
people
storms.
are shitting themselves, throwing up. I
on edge, not getting along.
Not getting along.
But like getting along. Like
yeah, we were
it was like I hate you, you suck, but like are you okay?
Yeah.
Like
it was like you're not listening to me. That's annoying, but like you're good, right? Like,
yeah.
It was a lot of like you really, really, really were forced to work together. Like you had no other option, and like we cried. Like we would have meetings.
I cried.
She cried. Like there were a lot of stressful situations, and the point I think we're trying to get across is like we were all broken, but at the same time, like the people we were surrounded with made it bearable.
But I want to say like it was so impactful in my life, but like I didn't have time to take any pictures. Like I don't have any pictures of it. I was like stressed out, but it was like I hate this so much that I love it. And it was kind of like, how do I find a job in which I can travel the world and make videos?
Yeah.
And it was like, this is crazy. I want to do this every day of my life.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. And like, that's how it was. And it was like, it was stressful for me because I'm like, am I bad at this? And like terrible at this? And it was like, it was like, I had to reflect on myself. Like, can I do this? Do I want to do this? And it's like, what do you mean? You've always wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Like, you jumped on this because it's, like, so perfectly what you want to do. And I think we all, like, got through it.
Yeah, we totally did. And, like, it really brought us, like, all so close together. Like, I feel like we're always gonna, like I'm happy that I had this trip. Like, we can always look back at the documentary. We can always see what we did because we did something that has not been done. Like, that's never been done. And the product that we were able to make, like, as much as like the chaos and like the tears and like the sweat and like whatever we went through there, our final product is impressive. Like, and I feel like we've worked on it so long, Christina and I, especially editing it. Like, we just finished editing it. Said in the beginning, it's really, really, really hard to articulate what we went through and like all the stuff. Not what we went through, like what we experienced. Like, I cannot stress it enough. Like, and I can pretty much say that this definitely changed everyone who went live. Like, and part of me when I came back, I remember when my dad picked me up from the airport, he was like, you know, trying to ask a little bit about it, and obviously I was just like, I couldn't.
Don't talk to me about it.
Yeah,
Thank
it was
you.
like hard to like talk about it, like just because I was like, I'm home, like, and it was weird. Like, the drive home from the airport was so weird to me. Like, he picked me up in his Mercedes Benz, like, and I get in like the nicest car, you know, and I'm just like, oh, like, I just felt so weird to like go from nothing to that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just like, this is weird. This is a lot. This is, like, we're driving on the highway. Like, this is, like, it was just a lot. And it made me feel like I was just, like, I am never taking anything for granted anymore. Like, I think that I was, like, the small things. Like, what I have is, like, so much. Like, I have everything that I ever would need or want, and like we can go to the store and like buy something, and they can't. Yeah. Just go to a Publix,
or like, you know what, I want a burrito.
Yeah, I want to go to Chipotle right now. Like, that's not a thing, and like that's crazy.
As weird as it sounds, like the second I landed, I was like I want to go back.
Same, and they told us that we were gonna be like that. Like Dairo, like someone who was with us the whole time, he like set up our trip essentially with his company Civitas. He was like, you guys will understand like why I always keep coming back. Like you'll just get it. Like something will click and you'll get it. And I totally feel that. Like
I need to go back.
I need to.
Like I feel like there's like a dying urge that like
and
there's another project out there.
Totally. And I want everyone to go to Cuba. Like it's amazing. It's by far my favorite place I've ever been to. Yeah, I've had bad experiences, but nothing that was associated with Cuba. It was associated with the documentary and the stress we had.
Yeah.
But that's not needless to say, I'm still so proud of what we did, and there was so much hard work that was put into this, and like it really, really pushed us and tested us and broke us. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of cuts in this, but just roll with us. When does the stuff come in for the camera?
Wednesday is when we get a new battery. Oh, so I don't even think we said anything about it. My camera battery randomly died, and my charger doesn't work for my camera.
Yeah.
What happened? What? It's been working all this time, and yeah, so we ordered another camera.
And then we started using another camera, and that battery just died, and it's not working. So
basically, it's us. We're doing something.
Curse. This is the no scripts, no rules curse, and
they said you need scripts, you need rules.
You need them, and we are rolling without them.
Yeah, it's true.
And clearly, it's not working.
Yeah, but we're branching out, and that's what we're learning. We're learning about this, so
it's all right. We'll get better.
No, yeah, and it's fun to talk about it. And like, honestly, like if we didn't go to Cuba, would we have had this podcast?
No.
Like, no,
probably not. But like, this is fun for us, and I feel like we need to like, it's like therapy. We can talk about whatever we want and do whatever we want. We should do an eating show.
Oh my god. I love eating. I love eating. No, but in all seriousness, I think it was like a really good trip. I definitely like am so happy I went, and I'm like, oh my god, how can I go back? Oh my god, how can I get a job where I'm doing this and all the time? And like I just want to be living that all the time, which is like an odd feeling.
Yeah.
But also like I think it's so important that we were able to bring back these stories of these people.
Totally.
Because I think it's important to show people like us who grew up here and have money and live this life, and we can show them, like, even showing like my parents, like, look, people are like living like this.
And I'm glad that we're talking about this now, because I talked about this about, I don't know, a few weeks ago in a meeting with some people who they helped us with the grant, or I don't know. There was like a bunch of like big people in the room, and it was me and Nathaniel, a kid who went on the trip, and like I feel like I like suppressed a lot of my emotions towards this trip, and we just had a conversation with them. They watched the documentary, and we were talking about our experiences and what we learned, and like blah blah blah. And at the very last question, the woman was like, "You both said that this trip changed your life. Like, how did it change your life?" And like when she asked that, I was like no one's asked me that, and I was like, wow, like that's a loaded question. And I went to like start answering her, and I just broke down, and I just started crying. We're at this like long meeting table, and I'm just like crying, like, and then she started crying, and then everyone in the room started crying, because I was like, it's so hard to explain like what we saw, what we did, who we met, what we went through. It's like, that's so loaded, and it's like, I just broke. But I'm glad that happened, because I feel like I needed to like let those emotions out, because I was like, oh, like it like checked myself. I'm like, yeah, that changed your life. Like that, like 100%, like it just changed my perspective on a lot of things, and can never like thank my professors enough for this experience and like the opportunity we all got, because it shaped me. It really did. And like now I can be like, yeah, I did that. Yeah. I can do that. And next time I do something like that, I'm gonna be better at it. Totally. And like, oh, I would do a lot of things differently. And I feel I think we could kill it. Like, I'm ready to go.
Let's
if
go.
you want a no scripts, no rules documentary, comment below where you want us to go.
Fund us to get a plane there.
Yeah, but you guys should definitely, we'll link the documentaries in the bio of our YouTube. You guys should definitely check them out. They're up. They're interesting.
We're rocking and rolling.
We're rocking and rolling. Hopefully someone sees it and picks it up at PBS.
Yeah. So
yeah, that was our not even enough time, but like we gotta call it. You gotta know when to call it. That's also something I learned in Cuba.
I feel like we've been like just like there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah, but it's like it's really, really, really hard to explain everything without talking for 8 hours.
But like I'm glad we did it. It was amazing. The people in Cuba are amazing. Everybody should go visit. Bring whatever you can over there. Talk to people. Learn from them.
Give what you have to them because they have nothing.
And just, I don't know, like bring these stories back. And I think like we're doing something.
Yeah.
We're like sharing these stories and hopefully like they continue to be shared. And then there's more stories.
Yeah.
So.
Because like anything, I feel like anything I knew about Cuba before, I feel totally differently now. Like people were like, "What do you mean you're going to Cuba?" Like it was like negative, and it shouldn't be.
Especially like they're so positive.
They're amazing.
Like you can learn so much from them. So
that's our episode.
I hope you liked it. We'll be back with something less loaded.
Yeah,
next week.
We'll have fun next week. We are.
Yeah.
Something easy.
But I'm glad we talked about it.
Yeah, we needed to. You needed to.
I don't talk about things.
Christina has not talked about this.
No.
Really.
No, to nobody.
So, that's it. Thanks for tuning in.
Awesome. We will see you next week.